So chapter number 1 is about the internet and mobile marketing in the digital ecosystem. Now, before we go into the topic in detail, internet and mobile marketing in the digital ecosystem sounds like a very, very long topic to me. We have to start from the beginning, and we have to first understand what internet is. Now, it is kind of funny as well to ask you people, the generation of technology, what internet is. But anyway, that is what the requirement of the course is. I normally start from very basic before we go to the detail, and that is how I'm starting. I'm starting with asking you people certain questions that you know the answer to. What is internet? Why it is important? And how would you look at the world without internet? Sometimes easy questions are difficult to answer, right? It's like, what is internet? You may not have thought of someone asking you this question. What is internet? Internet is internet, right? Internet is what? Internet is the network of networks. So which takes us to another point. Network. What is a network? What is a network? Here we are talking about the connection of different systems, the connection of different machines, and specifically we are talking about the connections of different computers. So when different computers are connected together, we call it network. And when all the networks of computers around the world are connected together, we call it internet. And that's why the definition of internet is what? The network of networks. So it's a giant network of so many networks. And that's why, because if it is a giant network of networks around the globe, that's why we being sitting here using Google, accessing information from another corner of the world. Some of you people may be sitting in other parts of the world, and we are communicating because we have now an established network, established connection between or among our computers. So a network of networks is an internet. Now this is even the next question, which is why it is important, is something that is a question that is not easy to answer. Normally when people ask me this kind of question, why is it important? My reply is that, why not? Because we cannot deny the importance of internet living in today's era. But I want to hear from you people, why do you think that internet is important? So what do you think? What is your say? What do you think that what are the reasons that makes what are the reasons that make internet an important thing? Think about your life. What is the reason behind making internet important? I'm going to ask the same question, rephrase the same question. Why do you think internet is important from a business perspective, since we are in the business administration department, or we're studying business and economics? Because of the internet, we know things that we did not know many, many years ago. Or if we were many, many years ago, or many decades ago, we would not be able to have understood things that we understand today. Things are, information is available very easily now. Don't you think that because of the internet now, everyone or anyone can become a business person, even sitting in their home? So you don't need to have a business model, you don't need to have a business setup, you don't need to have a plan, a bigger plan to execute the way people used to do it many, many decades ago to start a business. Because of the internet, now you just need to have a system, a PC, a computer, and even a phone. It can work for you. It can work for you to start your business. So accessibility, connectivity, especially accessibility in terms of reaching the customers, or accessibility from a customer perspective is for the customer to reach the business. So for me, sitting here in Malaysia, accessing Amazon is not a big deal, but it was a big deal many, many years ago. Thinking of buying a product from the other side of the world was not something that I could think of, say, 10, 20 years ago. But today, I don't even think of that thing. It becomes so easy. So why internet is important from a business perspective? Because it expands our business so easily. Now I'm sitting here in Malaysia and I want to start my business. I can even target people in other parts of the world. So recall back the topic of segmentation in the basic marketing. Even the definition of segmentations have changed, right? Now the geographic or demographic segmentation, specifically the geographic segmentation, have changed significantly due to the growth of internet, due to the inclusion of internet. Why? Because of the internet, my geography has expanded significantly, even though it is still applicable, but it has expanded significantly. So the next question, before we start the definition, is how would you look at the world without internet? If there was no internet today, just imagine for a while, just for a few seconds, if there was no internet today, how would your world look like? Just imagine for a while, all of you, that that I hope and I pray that this pandemic gets over soon. But just hypothetical situation that it is a pandemic. It is March. It well in Malaysia it started in March. So say it is March 2020. Everything is locked down. The classes are on, the businesses and offices are locked down, and there is no internet. Can you think of that situation? It would have been a horror movie. It would have been a very horrible situation. Even though with the blessings of internet, somehow the economies are moving on, even though in very bad situation, but the economies are moving on. If there was no internet, oh my God, things would have been crazy. How, just imagine, for if there was no internet for us, let's talk about us right now. From the last 1 year, we would not be able to have our classes, we would not be able to have our semesters. So 1 year would be added to your degrees, and that 1 year you would not be able to do anything. Now 1 year is added to your degrees, but that 1 year you have studied your semester and you have gotten your grades and you moved on. So you see, even if you fit in this question into our classes, our education, things would have been extremely horrible if there was no internet in the world. So now internet has become a necessity for us. We cannot think of our life without internet. I could not plan my lecture today without internet. We could not have this session right now if there was no internet. So you see how things would have been if there was no internet. So even though these questions are basic questions, these are important for us to understand and to look at the blessings of the internet. Of course, there are positive and negative with everything, but let's think about positive aspects. Look at the blessings of internet that we have. It's amazing benefits that the internet is offering to us. There are hundreds and thousands of people, they are earning just because of internet. So if you stop internet, not hundreds and thousands, actually millions of people will lose their livelihood. They would not be able to earn. And we know the stories, right? We know the stories that the people are using internet to earn. The people are using internet to spend their life and earn their bread and butter. Well, if it was not even 5, even if it was 10 years ago, the world would have come up with some solutions. Of course, we people always, Alhamdulillah, Allah has given us the capability to come up with the solutions. The solution may have been different than the solutions that we have today. It may have been a different method to approach the whole thing. Well, I'm including the internet in the whole story because internet became public and started in 1990s. I'm going to show you the graph in a while. But the internet was there, even if it is 10 years ago, even if it was 20 years ago. Yeah, things would have been more complicated. But being a human, we would have somehow managed. Yeah, the damage would have been comparatively more than it is today. If it was 10 years ago, the damage would have been more. If it was 20 years ago, the damage would have been even bigger. So, but because of a lot of the technological growth, the things that we have now have somehow controlled the damage. Even though it caused the damage, but it controlled the damage. I hope this kind of thing does not happen again. But suppose if it happens a couple of years from now, say a couple of decades from now, maybe the response would be more commendable, in a sense that the technology would have grown further later on in coming 10 years down the line, say. And then now it took the companies to produce a vaccine within a year. Maybe after 10 years, the companies would be able to produce a vaccine within a few weeks or within a few months. So the control of the damage would be comparatively easier in the coming years. And if you take it backwards, say 10 years ago, then of course the companies would have taken longer time to produce the vaccines. People would have faced more difficulties. But I still believe that we would have come up with some solution. In stories that we would have come up with solution. At any time in the human history, if there is a problem, people come up with a solution. And that's how things go on and things develop and things move on. Take an example of the wheel, right? The wheel was produced because there was a problem. So the wheel was produced, and now it is refined and refined and refined. Internet was produced because there was a problem, and it is refined and refined and refined. Mobile communication was introduced. Everything that we have, the computer was introduced because there was a problem to answer to and to handle, and it is refined now. So yes, it would have been more deadly. It would have been more. It would have affected the economies greater compared to the effect that it had today. But again, I believe that people would have come up with a solution. So what is internet marketing? We discussed about internet. Internet is the network of networks, or connectivity across the globe. So when computers nowadays, not only computers, so many other things are also connected, which I'm going to show you in a while. So computers, let's for now understand, computers are connected around the globe. And when that connectivity or that network, we call it internet, is used for the purpose of marketing, we call it internet marketing. So, but those of you who are my old students, they already know what marketing is, right? But I'll just quickly touch on to the basics. When we talk about marketing, we should not forget the 4 P's of marketing. We're talking about product, price, promotion, and placing. So when you have a complete interference of internet in your product, price, promotion, and placing, we call it internet marketing. To make it so simple, to make it simple definition for you, of course, we have the whole semester to talk about it. But to make it so simple for you, what is internet marketing? When you use, well, of course, you know that marketing is not only the 4 P's of marketing, but for now, just for the starting point, when you use the 4 P's of marketing: product, price, promotion, and placing, and you use it with the complete interference of internet in it. And we have examples where products are produced with the complete interference of internet. We know that. Take an example of these vaccines. Forget about the vaccine. Let's take an example of other products we have. Today, we use internet to produce our product, to design our product, right? For example, you want to buy sneakers from Puma, you can actually buy your custom designed sneakers. You want to buy a laptop from Dell, you can buy custom designed Dell laptop. You want to buy your Apple phone, you can actually put a name on it. And how is it possible? Because of the interference of the internet. We're talking about product here. What about the pricing? We have something in the pricing. I'm sure that you remember. If you don't remember, let me ask you actually. How many of you remember static and dynamic pricing? Did we discuss that? Yes, we discussed it. Anyone? What is static and dynamic pricing? Anybody? Static price is that where the price is stagnant, where you don't change the price with the changes in the market situation. When we say market situation, you're talking about the demand and supply. And dynamic price changes with the changes in the demand and supply. So internet have introduced to us a pricing which is called dynamic pricing. And now companies are using dynamic pricing, especially the internet companies or those companies who are using internet actively. They are using dynamic pricing. I'll give you my own example, like a very recent example. Last week, I bought something from Lazada. It was around 20 ringgits, some normal thing. And then it got cancelled due to some reasons. And then after I think a day or two, I tried to buy again the same thing. The price increased to 25 ringgits. So I was like, 2 days ago it was like 20 ringgits, and now it is 25 ringgits. That is a real example of dynamic pricing, and that is because of the internet. So we can see that internet is interfering in our marketing, the second P, or in any order, the pricing P of marketing. Of course, we should not even talk about promotion here. Internet has revolutionized the way companies promote their product with the growth of this social media marketing. We have actually 1 or 2 chapters on social media marketing that we will discuss it. So social media marketing is playing a very, very active role in companies' promotion. And now companies, forget about companies, even governments are using social media marketing. Take an example, the recent example of the countries where there is some protest going on. You know that the governments have blocked the social media in those countries. Why? Because they know that the social media information flow is extremely fast, extremely rapid. So they are doing what? They are actually blocking it for people to share things. For companies, they use the same platform, social media platforms, to do their promotions and all type of promotions. We'll discuss that inshallah in the social media chapter. So what about distribution? How is internet helping us in the distribution? I'll give you a simple example. Forget about the whole supply chain. Again, we have, I think the next chapter is on supply chain. So we have something which is very, very interesting, and that is just because of the internet. And I personally love this part of internet with relation to the distribution channels. When we buy something online, have you seen something which is called tracking? And there is a complete map where it shows you, forget about buying something. Have you ordered something from Grab Food or from Uber Food or from all these different food apps that we have? If you buy something if you order some food from a restaurant, you may have noticed that, or if you are ordering a Grab, for example, a car or an Uber, you may have noticed that there's a real-time map. That is a distribution example. There is a real-time map where you see your product moving towards you. This is amazing, right? Just imagine without the internet, you could not see. So you ordered something over a phone. I'm talking about telemarketing, which was already there, or telesales. You ordered something over a phone, and then you are waiting for it, and you don't know where your package is and when will it reach. Internet has solved that problem. We actually exactly see where our products are. So you see, what is internet marketing? The inclusion of, the use of, the interference of internet in all the marketing activities. I'm repeating, note it down with you. The inclusion and the interference or the use of internet in all the marketing activities by companies are called internet marketing. And there are pros and cons, which we may discuss in the later times. So when we say internet, one of the things that we cannot deny is as we discussed, that internet is the connectivity of the computers around the globe. So when we say around the globe or around the world, how are these connected, and how do we access the information from one computer to another computer? One of the methods, or one of the term that was coined, is called WWW. We commonly call it World Wide Web. This is how the internet revolution started. Actually, originally internet was only available to the US Army. So it was only with the US forces in 1969. It was coined actually earlier than that, but it was then operationalized and available only to the US Army. Then later on down the line, it was made available to the educational institutions, to the libraries. And then further on, in 1990s onward, 1990s, it became a common thing, where we see if you look at this part, we see from here, 1990s and onward, you see this revolution of companies. Can you see this revolution of companies? And these companies itself have revolutionized the way we look at things today. Before that, things were very common. There are a few terms that I want to ask you and I want to share with you. Internet, we we already discussed, which is the network of networks, right? Can anybody tell me what is an intranet? What is an intranet? Intranet is a private network. It's an organizational network. It's a network inside the boundaries of the organization. Now, we know about internet. We know about intranet. Can anybody tell me about extranet? Extranet is when you are able to access the company's intranet from outside the boundaries of the organization. So when you are sitting in your home, but you are able to access IIM library, that intranet become extranet. When you are given the permission, when you have the authority, and when you have an infrastructure where an organizational network, an organizational network is called intranet, right? An organizational network is accessible from outside, so we call it extranet. When two or more than two computers in your company are connected, for example, IIM community, right? Have you seen the IIM community, IIM student or IIM staff Wi-Fi? That is called intranet. Have you ever seen the IIM staff or IIM student outside IIM? No, because that is an intranet. That is only available inside the boundaries of IIM. So when you're in the campus, only then you see that Wi-Fi. You don't see any other the same Wi-Fi outside. Now, if you could see the same Wi-Fi, or if you could access the same Wi-Fi outside IIM or outside the organization, it becomes extranet. Is that clear now? I hope. There is one more, which is not even in the books. There's a very recent thing, and it has changed over time. They used to call it outernet. I'll write it here. These are some students who started it. Outernet, which they recently changed it because of some issues. They now call it Othernet. The recent name is called Othernet. It's a separate thing, but I want you to know. This is some of the students started this project in some of the African countries, and this is something where people in the urban areas who don't have access to the internet, they were given a type of device which would make them access basic internet for free. So basic internet only for reading purposes, like for example, reading news, newspapers, not watching, just reading, and basic content, not the dynamic content, the basic content. And I think, if I'm not wrong, you can Google it and check it by yourself, but if I'm not wrong, I think they were allowed to use only 100 MBs per day. So like 100 MBs, actually 100 MB is a lot of data if you're using it only for static text. So 100 MB is a lot of data. So that was allowed. It was kind of a dish. Those of you have seen a dish antenna, or for example, the Astro dish, they use that one where people would access to the basic internet for free. And they called it Outernet earlier, and then because of some issues, I think with the copyrights or something, the patents, they changed it to Othernet recently. I don't know whether it is still there or not. Please Google it. Is internet marketing also part of mass communication? Yes, a very good question. Previously, a few years ago, internet was not considered mass media, but now internet is considered mass media because of the explosive number of users in the internet. You see that the number of people who are using internet are increasing extremely fast. The number of users, I will show you a diagram as well, where you will see that the number of users of internet are a lot. That's why when you reach large group of people and transfer to them a message or communicate with them, we call it mass communication. Anyway, so the internet story started there, and then the World Wide Web, and we go further, and then the Facebook came, and the Twitter came, and the YouTube came, and we know that, of course, it stopped in 2014. Here we don't have more, the diagram is old, but we see that until 2020 we have more revolutions that is coming ahead. You know that we have this TikTok, and we have Insta, and we have so on and so forth. All these things are the revolution of internet, and we use these technologies, we use these platforms to do marketing. And if you use these platforms to do marketing, we call it internet marketing. Now, some of the things that you have to understand. Internet from a business perspective, when we talk about the disruption means the disconnection, the disruption in the existing activities or the existing processes. The major disruption was brought in by the internet. The organizations were performing their activities, they had a process, and that process is disrupted by the internet. How? A real example is in front of us. Let's take out the pandemic from the current scene. Teaching has been here for ages, right? Where the teacher would come and teach the students. But how the internet has brought in changes to our teaching or education. Now, we don't want hard copies, we want soft copies. No, I don't want you to solve the assignment in the class in front of me. I want you to go home, solve it, and send it to me over the internet. So a simple example. The business perspective, there are a few terms that we're going to discuss in the coming slides. The IOE, they call it IOE, it's here. If you can see the slide, IOE, Internet of Everything. I'm going to show you in a while how it disrupted. So first, starting from bottom to the top, the business perspective, building internet infrastructure, and then bringing in people to accept it. When internet in the organizations were started, the major problem was that the acceptance of people. I could see that actually now because of the pandemic, when because of the pandemic, all of the sudden the education landscape had changed from physical face-to-face to online, and I could see that how some of the people found it very difficult to adopt it because of, for example, online teaching. All of the sudden, some of the people may not have done that before, or for university level it is okay, but when we go to other levels, I'll give an example of my own son who actually knows computer, who plays with internet, but then his school was actually a real school. They have play group where they play, and all of a sudden the teachers and the students were asked that you have to do that over the internet in your own homes. Now, the teachers are confused, and it was difficult for them to understand and to adopt, and the kids are also confused, and it is difficult for them to adopt. So you see that, but of course it took a time now, almost a year, for them to get used to the system. So bringing in people is a tough thing to do. Then when people accept it, when you have planned the internet and you bring in the infrastructure, then you make sure to develop the platforms, the back end and the front end. Please note down these terms with you, the back end and the front end platforms. The back end means the office platforms, and the front end means what people will see, what your customers would see, and then connecting the internet with everything that you do. So everything is done by the internet. We call it IOE. We have another term as well, it's called IoT, Internet of Things, which I'm going to show you in a while. So this is the business perspective. A technological perspective, you need to have a PC, then internet, then of course the mobile or the smartphones are included. And now the revolution is brought in the form of virtual reality. We call it VR. We have AR, augmented reality, and we have one more, which is again a recent development and an amazing development, which is called mixed reality, which is the mix of augmented and real reality. So we will talk about it in a while. These are the things, we call it the waves of changes brought in by the internet. This is a very, very interesting slide. I would actually start it with the Internet of Things before going to the Internet of Everything. The Internet of Things, when internet was started earlier, internet was started as a tool to connect people. Then the development took place, and to take you fast forward, companies started working on connecting internet with things. So, and that is not new, by the way. I'm talking about like 10 to 20 years old, not 20, but 10 to 15 years old thing, where the internet was successfully connected with things. the things which required human interference before. Now the internet would interfere instead of the human to do things. And the example of that would be, can anybody give me an example? How internet was connected with things, or how internet is connected with things. We call it IoT, Internet of Things. Connecting your devices, in simple word. Connecting your devices with internet is something we call it Internet of Things. And by devices, we mean every device that was not previously operated or was not possible to be operated with the help of internet is now possible to be operated with the help of internet. And the example of that would be your home fridge, your microwave, your cars. Your cars are now connected. Your cars are now connected with the internet. Have you heard, I'm sure that you have heard of, but again, have you heard of a car company? Now all the car companies do that, but a famous one, Tesla, car producing company, electric cars. And the famous thing about Tesla company is that it is connected with the company all the time. So if you have a problem in your car, normally if you have a problem in our car, we take it to the mechanic, right? We take it to the repair center to repair the car. But when it comes to Tesla, you just have to connect with just have to press a button, and it will inform the head office, and they will rectify the problem if it could be rectified, or they will find out the problem in your car using internet, even though you are not there. And now with all the new brands, we have this Mercedes and BMW and Audi, all these have incorporated the same technology where you don't actually need to go to the mechanic to find out the problem. You just call the company connects with your car, and the company find out the problem, and then they tell you the solution if it is possible to solve without going to the physical company. And this is amazing, right? This is called Internet of Things, the best example of Internet of Things. Where or take an example of Alexa or Google Home. It's an assistant that helps you connect internet with things. So the best example of that is Internet of Things. We have Google Home, and we have other types of smart home devices where you ask them to do things for you. And that is a revolution when it comes to Internet of Things. But then we have another thing which is called Internet of Everything. What is Internet of Everything? It is bringing together people. Pay attention. Bringing together people, business processes, data, and things together. So Internet of Things is only things here, but Internet of Everything is where the data, the processes, and the people are also brought together. And when we say data, now I will add to this thing, we have something which is called now big data. And when I would add something here as well, we have process, but in many books we call it business process. So I'm just changing a little here. We have Internet of Everything means where we bring together people. People means the people working in your organization and the people not working in your organization. Let's target two people. Normally I would write here employees and customers. But we can also, instead of that, call them stakeholders. So when we say people, we are connecting everyone with the company using the internet. When we say business processes, all the front end and back end activities are performed with the help of internet. So I would recommend you people go and check the Amazon warehouse. The internet commands the robots to pick a package from shelf number 5, row number 3, or wherever the robot go, and then picks up the product. And previously, that is a very recent thing, by the way. Previously, it was just the robots moving in the shelf, and human would be there to facilitate the process and push the package to the robot, and the robot will work just like a automatic vehicle to take the products. But fast forward just recently actually, I think a couple of months ago, they have introduced now a robot which can actually go horizontally and vertically as well. So if say you're in IKEA and that robot is there, and in IKEA, those of you have been to IKEA, and you're buying something which is, say, on the top shelf, and of course you don't want to take the ladder to go there, you just use your phone, and using your phone you command to the robot which is in IKEA using internet to go to the 5th or 10th shelf on the upper part. The robot will actually go all the way up there, pick up your package, bring it down, and take it to the counter. And now you do automatic checkout. You don't even need a person there. So this is called business process. That's just a simple example of the business processes. So when you say business processes, we are talking about all type of processes, back end, front end, and everything in between. Then connecting, of course, when we say data, when we say internet, we are talking about huge sums of data. Previously, it was just data, but now with the internet, we have something which is called big data. Yeah, so when we say big data, we are talking about huge repository of data. We are talking about data in such a large sums, which are in millions in transactions. Suppose when we give, I remember my students from retail management, they would already remember that companies like Walmart, they collect hundreds and millions, not just millions, millions and millions of data on daily basis. And that is what we call big data. With the help of internet, we use that data to come up with trends. So the connection of everything with the internet in order to provide information, in order to provide valuable information to the company and to all the stakeholders. We call it Internet of Everything. Now, before I move on to the next one, there are something else that I will write it here, and I want you to tell me, well, those of you who have attended my webinar, once upon a time I had a webinar, I don't know when, it was a couple of months ago. I talked about it a while. I talked about it in detail, but still there is something which was introduced in 2017, if I'm not wrong, and that is what? That is called IOB. They call it Internet of Brains. Have you heard of it? Anyone? Internet of Brains. One university by the name of Wits University, they did an experiment in 2017, and what they did is, why I'm just starting explaining it myself, because we don't have a lot of time for all the Q&A, but inshallah we'll have time every now and then. So Internet of Brain is one of the universities have successfully conducted an experiment where they had connected a live human brain with the internet. And what they did is that it was a real-time flow of communication from the brain to the internet and from the internet to the brain. And that is astonishing, right? When you just imagine that your brain is directly connected with the internet. So you don't need anything to Google, because the Google is already connected with you. So you just think and it's already there. This is insane. And that's why they even coined a word, and they coined a term, and they call it Brainsternet. They call it Brainsternet. So that's the new term. You can note it down with you. These are something which is definitely not in your book. So Brainsternet is where your brain is connected with the internet. How many of you would like your brain to be connected with the internet? Most of us would love to have our brain connected with the internet, but we don't want the internet to get the information from our brain. We want the information from the internet, right? But in this experiment, it was a two-way communication. Like, we are scared of our brains exposed to the internet, but we are not scared of Allah, and that's why we do a lot of the bad things. We already know that there is one supreme power who is already connected with us, and we are connected with him. Well, I don't know whether some of us are connected with him, but like, he is connected with us. He knows whatever we are doing, but still we do things which are not commanded by him. That is just a piece of tazkirah. But when our brain is connected with the internet, we are scared of it, because what if the internet knows about everything in our brain? And how merciful Allah is, that that whatever comes in our mind, in our heart, we call it intention, even if it is bad, we are not going to be punished for that. But if it was internet, whatever comes in our mind and brain, it would be noted down. And then thank God it is not yet there. Otherwise, people would be punished for whatever comes in their mind, right? And there are many movies made on this as well. There are many science fiction movies made on these kind of concepts where human brains are connected with the internet and so on and so forth. So Brainsternet is an amazing thing that you people should know. And I will tell you about another very recent one actually, and that is called, what do you call it? It is called, let me correct it. It is called interactive dreaming. Wow. This is insane, right? In interactive dreaming. What is interactive dreaming? Can anybody tell me about interactive dreaming? Have you heard of that? Interactive dreaming is where scientists successfully interacted with a person who is dreaming. So, like if someone is asleep and he is in lucid dream, in the deep dream, the scientist successfully connected with the person who is dreaming and communicated in two-way. So that is what I'm telling you, that all these movies which are made, these movies are actually science fiction movies, and you see that all these movies are coming in reality with the passage of time. For example, I remember many decades ago there was a movie, a famous movie where a car would automatically drive. What was the name of that movie? Knight Rider. And then I remember I was a kid at that time, and I would fantasize that oh my God, a car that would come to you by itself and it can drive by itself. And people, kids normally visualize things that you will have this kind of car. Today, actually, you can have this kind of car. It's not something unique. You can actually have an automatic car. I've personally seen the car automatically parking itself. I've seen the car coming to you. Just with the press of button, the car come to you. So there is no driver in. If you don't know, just Google it and you will see it actually. It's already there. And same, these kind of technologies that we see in the movies, in the science fiction movies, they are coming with the growth of technology. We may not see it today, what we see in the science fiction movie, but maybe after 10 years and 20 years, we will see exactly the same things happening. So just like in the Inception movie, the interactive dreaming where the scientists successfully connected with the human dreams in real time, and not only connected with the human dreams, luckily they could not see the dreams. That's the good news. They could not see what you're seeing in the dreams, but they could communicate with you. So what they did is they made a person sleeping solve a mathematical problem in the dream. And then the person woke up and the scientist asked him a question that, what did you dream of? So his dream was about something else, but his response to the mathematical question, the answer that he gave was correct. It was a simple mathematical question, like, for example, 2 plus 2, what does it make? And then the person who is dreaming actually is in sleep. In his sleep, he replied, correct. And that is insane. If you want, I can share with you that video. I have that video with me. It's a documentary, but it's a crazy documentary which will astonish you. That's the last week, I think, a week or two ago. So that is what we called interactive dreaming. And that is where the internet is going. Now, why I'm telling you that? What are the implications for marketing of these two? What are the implications? What are the implications for marketing? Why I'm telling you that? We are not discussing any technology class. I'm telling you that because it has amazing implication for marketing. What are the marketing implications? If scientists or the companies can connect with our brains or can connect with our dreams, they would market to us products in our dreams even. Now, when we say dreams, we are talking about our subconscious. We are not talking about conscious. So if a product is marketed to us in our subconscious, and then you wake up and then you are attracted toward that product. What they did is, I'll conclude my class by telling you an amazing thing they did. What they did is, they did an experiment as well to connect with the dream, and then market something. What they did is they connected with the dreams of a smoker, a person who smokes a lot of cigarette. The scientists found that those people who smoke, the chances of smoking increases when they are in a smoking environment, which means that when they inhale the, the smell of the cigarette or the smell of the smoke, so they tend to smoke more. Now, what they did is they did an experiment where a person went to the sleep, he's dreaming, and they made him smoke, they made him smell cigarettes. Are you with me, all of you? It's a very interesting experiment. So they made him smell cigarettes. And soon after that, they made him smell rotten eggs. What happened is the subconscious registered smoking with rotten eggs. The person woke up When the person woke up from his sleep, the scientist in the experiment offered him cigarette, and he declined the cigarette. Why? He was asked, why are you declining the cigarette? You're a smoker. He said, because it reminds me of rotten eggs. You can see how interesting implication it has. Because in marketing, now the companies can market to us in our dreams the product that even we don't like, but when we wake up from our dream, we will go and buy these products. Allahu Akbar. This is insane, right? So this is what we call it interactive dreaming. We have a lot of interesting things in this course. I'm already excited, and I hope that you people are excited as well. Tell me, how did you find the lecture for today so far? That's good, right? So we are going to experience these kind of things in this subject, internet marketing. We have started our chapter number 1. This is just an introduction. I think we are done with our lecture for today. Inshallah. See you in the coming class. Thank you so much. See you. Assalamu alaikum.